Good day, dear viewers. Today, we are going to talk in depth about one of the most powerful dark magic users in the DC universe. He is well aware of what demons hell has to offer and delights in the chaos. Let's get right down to it and talk about the origin of Klarion, the Witch Boy. I'm Andrew Lapomardo, your narrator, and this is Marvelous Videos. Today, we'll be talking about Klarion, the Witch Boy. Klarion Bleak first appeared in Jack Kirby's The Demon, number 7 in 1973. Despite the fact that this insidious supervillain looked like a young child, Klarion was actually an occultist and an old mage who was unfortunately bound to Earth by a curse. But this doesn't faze him, as he delights in causing destruction and chaos in his wake, and making life difficult for the DC superheroes. He serves as Etrigan the Demon's archenemy. He has used his impressive powers, crafty mind, and supernatural abilities to take on the likes of Wonder Woman, the Justice League, Dr. Fate, and many more. He also has the mind-blowing ability to manipulate space and time. Before we go into our explanation though, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you very much. Let's begin. Klarion's first on-screen appearance from the new Batman Adventures. Klarion makes his first appearance on screen in the Batman Adventure episode, The Demon Within. This was the 12th episode of the series and also featured the demon Etrigan. It was Stephen Wolf Smith's last appearance as Klarion, preceding his demise in 2000. The episode begins with Bruce Wayne, as well as Tim Drake, who is known as Robin, visiting Gotham auctioneers. Limited to an attempt to keep Tim away from video games, Tim meets another kid named Klarion, who claims to be there alone and by himself.
You know, did your parents force you into this?
I'm here by myself.
Klarion walks away and takes a seat for the auction of Morgana Le Fay's branding iron. Klarion bids $100,000, but Jason Blood offers $110,000 instead. The two quickly engage in a bidding battle, which lasts until Klarion offers $250,000. Bruce suddenly bids $1 million and wins the auction.
1 million. Going once. Going twice. Sold.
When Bruce picks up the iron, he is accosted by Klarion, who issues a threat but is cut off by Jason Blood. Klarion admits that they met frequently by coincidence, but promises that the next time they would meet on purpose. Bruce meets Jason and informs him that Klarion has transformed his parents into mice. Jason pledges to repay Bruce at his apartment, but he justifies it as a professional courtesy. Tim uncovers the statue of Etrigan, and Jason informs him that Etrigan was a demon conjured by Merlin to guard Camelot. Teakle, Klarion's cat, attempts to catch the iron while they are chatting, but Bruce spots her and snatches it away. The cat suddenly transforms into a human entity and knocks Bruce to the ground. Tim attempts to intervene, but is immediately overpowered. To Tim's surprise, Jason soon transforms into the demon Etrigan. Etrigan assaults the cat, but a fire breaks out, and Etrigan chooses to rescue Tim and Bruce, while warning the cat of her impending reckoning. While Klarion watches, the cat flees into the darkness with the iron. Klarion grabs the iron and starts chanting. Jason treats Tim's wounds by applying a powdery substance on his arm, which causes the injuries to vanish. Suddenly, Jason feels agony, and Etrigan's spirit departs from his body. Bruce confronts Etrigan, but Etrigan reminds him that his next lord is waiting for him and tosses Bruce to the ground. Klarion is amused by the developments there. Klarion informs Etrigan at his house that as long as he has possession of the brand, Etrigan must do anything he says. They depart once Etrigan knocks on the door. Meanwhile, Jason informs Bruce as well as Tim that Etrigan stopped him from aging, but since it's gone now, he will age till he dies. Bruce says he won't let it occur, if he can prevent it. Tim wishes to help out as well, but Bruce orders him to remain with Jason.
You're staying here, Tim. Jason might need you.
In town, Klarion marches out of a theater, claiming he despises sequels and ordering Etrigan to demolish them. Etrigan then destroys an ice cream van, but fails to find Klarion's preferred flavor, strawberry. When Klarion passes a cake shop, Etrigan smashes the truck through the window and Klarion begins devouring the cake. When Etrigan hears a train overhead, he knocks the train off the track. After that, he completely destroys ancient buildings for Klarion's enjoyment. Batman soon arrives, determined to teach Klarion a lesson. The youngster disagrees, and casts a spell that causes spikes to sprout from Batman's body. Jason and Tim watch as Jason casts the spell to undo the damage of the spell Klarion cast, and the spikes vanish. Klarion transforms Batman, and makes tree branches grow out of him after seeing his disappearance. Batman succeeds in knocking Klarion down while also removing the tree branches from his body. Klarion senses Jason's assistance and orders Etrigan to murder him.
On to you, Etrigan! No more games! Kill him!
Jason casts another spell that creates an illusion of multiple Batmen, but Klarion recognizes the original one and orders Etrigan to pursue him. Batman attempts to elude Etrigan, but comes to a halt at a dead end. With Etrigan coming, Jason casts a spell that causes Batman to disappear into the wall. But Jason's power is fading. Klarion chastises Etrigan for losing hold of him and orders him to go execute Jason.
Is go right to the source and kill Uncle Jason!
With the threat looming, Jason instructs Tim to form a circle of powder while he chants something. Etrigan arrives, but the powder creates a force field that Etrigan cannot shatter. While Klarion visualizes it, Jason loses strength and his force field crumbles. Batman knocks down Klarion and snatches the iron. As Etrigan takes Jason, Batman breaks the enchantment, reuniting Etrigan and Jason. Klarion becomes enraged and dispatches his cat, who changes into a human figure. She goes back to normal shape when Batman marks her using the iron and orders her to sit. Klarion quickly unleashes energy blasts that knock Batman over a railing. As Klarion builds a large blast and launches it, Etrigan responds with a blast of his own. Klarion seems unable to endure the blast, which causes him to crash into a stack of crates. Etrigan casts a spell and vanishes with Klarion. A perplexed Robin inquires about the events of the evening. However, Batman, who has had enough of magic for the night, refuses to discuss anything. As punishment, Klarion is shown locked in a magical ball on a shelf as a completely recovered Jason reads the newspaper. Klarions Origin. Klarion, also popularly known as Klarion the Witch Boy, is an extremely old and powerful wizard who has many enemies, including Young Justice and Etrigan, as well as many others. He was born in a very small village that appears in the Justice League Dark series named Limbo Town. This place is also his first home. The residents of the town have appeared there after disappearing eons ago from a place named Roanoke. Klarion was raised in a twisted version of Puritania, where wizardry was a common staple of locals, and every single person who practiced magic there had their very own draga, familiar to common folks like us. His biological father had disappeared from his life, which led the young boy to believe that there was something beyond the world he knew. But his curiosity was also discouraged and crushed by a stern, sub-missionary Judah, who was a local Limbo Town leader and also a Sheeta agent. When a Sheeta spine rider appeared in Limbo Town one fine day, Judah and all his fellow sub-missionaries panicked, as they knew that the spine rider was sent in for their annihilation. They turned into Horrigols, which was a grotesque Jessalth form that linked all three of them with their familiars. They then assaulted all of the town's witchmen, which included Klarion's stepfather, Ezekiel, Klarion, who had discovered the Horrigal and attempted to caution everyone, was chased by the beast and escaped upwards. He was split from Tikal, his familiar, throughout the entire process.
Now, let's put on a show.
Amazing story of Klarion's homeworld. Due to his sudden exit, Klarion found himself inside the Manhattan subway. The Horrigal confronted Klarion and Tikal and assaulted them, declaring that no one sees Horrigal and lives to tell. Klarion sends a Grundy man in pursuit of Horrigal with a witch brand, but the monster is promptly destroyed. A man shoots Horrigal just as he takes Klarion and instructs him to accompany him before the beast recovers. Horrigal jumps to attack the two, but is struck by the William Jefferson Clinton pirate train.
See you later, armadillos. Unless I see you first.
This led him to make the acquaintance of Ebenezer Batty, who was a smuggler from Croatia and was living inside the tunnels that connected Limbo Town to the Blue Rafters in the city of New York. He claimed to be from Limbo Town as well. Batty recalled that during the day of his Witchmen initiation, he glimpsed the void of existence and fled. Klarion is enthralled by the new world and pleads with Batty to accompany him to meet Croatoan. Nevertheless, Batty agrees. Klarion is concerned about Tikal, who had fled during the brawl, as the two go through the sewers. They soon come upon a group of kids whom Batty refers to as Leviathan. These orphan youngsters have come together to form one creature that was bigger than the sum of its parts. As the couple flees into the tunnel, the kids hurl stones at them. Klarion and Batty come across the House of Croatoan, a platform encircled by shattered chains and radioactive fluids. Batty reveals that Croatoan is actually an errant deity who escaped a long time ago. Klarion is overjoyed, believing he can be a witch boy forever. He comes across the mysterious die and chooses to steal it. This die is actually the foundation stone and is an ancient contraption from the Fourth World. After they leave, Batty leads Klarion to Vanity Fair, where the upper and lower worlds gather for trade and barter. As Klarion waits, he resolves to seek Tikal via their telepathic link. Tikal meets Leviathan, who tells him of a man known as the Hunter of Children. Klarion ultimately understands the truth. Batty has duped him into becoming a trafficked slave. Batty has been kidnapping children in exchange for booze and pornographic publications for a man named Mr. Melmoth. Batty changes his mind and tells Klarion to flee for his life. However, it is too late. The Leviathan has overpowered the traffickers and executed Batty, while Klarion joyously watches. Klarion exits the sewers and goes up to the surface, where he is stunned by the splendor of blue rafters. However, he meets a guy who subsequently introduces himself as Mr. Melmoth. Melmoth provides the youngster with food and lodging. Melmoth was secretly searching for Limbo Town, since he had produced the primordial witchmen and witchwomen at Roanoke by interbreeding with humans. As a result, he dispatched Klarion and the Deviant Ones to seize a massive underground drill for him. Klarion employed Tikal to investigate the museum in which the drill was being housed, and gang boss Billy Breezer let the Deviants wild inside the walls of the museum. Melmoth purposely pitted Breezer against Klarion when the Deviants arrived with the drill to test what the young witch boy was capable of. Billy secretly dreaded being overthrown, and Melmoth played on those anxieties by persuading him that Klarion's magic abilities made him a viable contender to succeed Breezer as the leader. Breezer confronted Klarion, who humiliated him by threatening him with a curse of death. Later, Klarion was awakened by the sight of Melmoth driving Breezer through the portal of Urdale to be trapped on Mars. Eventually, Klarion realized Melmoth wanted to subjugate all of the young deviants and later discovered Melmoth's intentions to make use of the drill to attack and loot Limbo Town. Thus, he alerted his former colleagues, but he himself decided to leave rather than attempt to fight Melmoth. Tikal, on the other hand, persuaded him that he still had an obligation to return home and stop Melmoth. Klarion went back to Limbo Town, but only to then be nearly burned alive at the stake for sacrilege, when he attempted to reveal that there was another planet beyond Limbo that planned to invade it. Melmoth's entrance put an end to the flames, and Klarion dashed to ring the alarm. He was challenged there by Judah, who was severely injured in their earlier confrontation. Realizing the impending danger to the village and facing his own death, Judah selected Klarion as his protege and taught him how to be a Horrigal. Klarion teamed up with Tikal and fought Melmoth's army, knocking Melmoth into a fire. Melmoth, who had been severely burnt, bragged that he was invincible and fled.
That's the best you can do.
Klarion wreaks havoc in Young Justice. Klarion is an immortal lord of chaos, who pursues any method he can to increase his power. He has been living from the beginning of time, 16 billion years ago, with the other lords of chaos as well as their equivalents, the lords of order. Tikal, his familiar, who takes on the shape of a cat, anchors him to the terrestrial world. He began terrorizing the people of Atlantis in 10,000 BCE, despite the fact that a substantial section of the town was made up of powerful metahumans. They were powerless to stop the Chaos Lord's fury, who killed the majority of Atlantis' population and set fire to the community's structures. Klarion sadistically tormented Vandar, the village's creator, murdering him in new and cruel ways each day just to watch him come back again. Vandar's perseverance ultimately piqued Klarion's interest enough for him to pause and hear what the man had to say. During the conversation, Klarion revealed who he was and the larger war between the Lords of Order and those of Chaos. Vandar offered Klarion a deal to end his attack on his family and Atlantis. Klarion was perplexed by the request and questioned why, only to have Vandar answer that if he gave him 1,000 years, he would be able to show him. Klarion kept his word and returned to Atlantis 1,000 years later, when the previously simple town had developed into a gigantic, hyper-advanced city. Vandar Egg, now known as Vanjet, suggested a new deal with the Lord of Chaos, allowing him to demolish Atlantis by submerging it into the ocean. Klarion continued to cause havoc, eventually destroying the whole Atlantean civilization by sinking the land it rested on and submerging it into water, much to Valjet's surprise.
What a grand old time.
Despite this, Klarion continued to work with Valjet. Klarion paid a visit to Valjet, then known as Marduk, during his Babylonian Empire around 2000 BCE, and gave him a remedy to get rid of his insubordinate generals. Marduk took Klarion's advice and summoned a Starro monster from outer space. Instead of submitting the Babylon troops to Marduk's wishes, the monster took control of them. Centuries later, Klarion joined the Light and became the 7th member, primarily to wreak havoc. When Red Tornado dispatched the Young Justice League to find Dr. Fate in 2010, Klarion and Kadabra obtained entrance to the Tower of Fate by trailing them. The two pushed Kent to let them enter the tower too, but Kent proceeded to trap them all inside a labyrinth-like pocket realm.
Cat, having too much fun.
Kent escaped Klarion with the assistance of Artemis, as well as Kid Flash, which enraged Klarion greatly.
I want this! No, but I want it! I want it! I want it!
When Wally, along with Kent, proceeded to recover the Helmet of Fate, Tikal and Klarion followed, and Klarion killed Kent with a powerful blast. Klarion and Fate fought, but Klarion was compelled to withdraw when Fate struck and severely injured Tikal. Tikal, it turned out, wasn't just Klarion's familiar, but also his only connection to the physical, non-magical level of reality, which caused him to fade. Klarion rescued Tikal and fled. Klarion was on site with the rest of the members of the Light after the Injustice League's arrest, to witness Vandal Savage's perspective on the Cobra Venom plant's test and the hero's belief that they had revealed the secret society. Klarion and Tikal then headed to Roanoke Island to use a gem to call Wutand, Wizard, Blackbriar Thorn, and Felix Faust. They recited a spell and a pentagram that changed the dimension of the children and adults in the room. Young Justice recounted how Klarion became a member of the Light. Klarion effortlessly repelled Zantana, transforming his familiar to fight the others. The tide turned as Zantana donned the Helmet of Fate. However, Klarion Sanabu had difficulty staying steady in the split realms. Ultimately, the Lord of Chaos triumphed. Fate shackled Klarion, but only for a brief time. Klarion commanded the Starotech-ridden Justice League warriors from an observation deck console. As Red Arrow, Black Canary, and Red Tornado returned to the Watchtower, Klarion recognized them as not infected and concluded that the team was neutralizing his toys. Tikal informed its lord that the three superheroes were not yet under their control while Vandal Savage was gloating. In reaction to Black Canary's attack, he called Superman, Wonder Woman, Batman, Jon Stewart, Martian Manhunter, and Hawkwoman to combat them. The team took all of Klarion's toys, much to his chagrin. The Light tasked Klarion with waking Tiamat in order to utilize it as a weapon, in exchange for the ability to maintain the Tablet of Destiny within the beast. Klarion then stole the final statue fragments, required to revive Tiamat, from Aquagirl. Klarion's primary goal was not Tiamat, but instead the Tablet of Destiny, a relic of order connected to Tiamat. Later, Klarion attended a conference with Black Manta, where Vandal Savage praised the latter's efforts and officially inducted him into the gang. Vandal Savage called Klarion into his ring after the Light's conference with their former comrades, the Reach, proved to be a trap set by Aqualad and also the team. The Witch Boy transformed Miss Martian's sword at Savage's neck into a fire dragon and had it attack her. Klarion then opened a portal, transporting him, Tikal plus Vandal out of the subterranean cave. Vandal entered the War World's crystalline key room through a portal made by Klarion. Klarion was already neck-deep into Project Rutabaga, a covert meta-trafficking operation conducted by Klarion in Cuba. By September 8th, Klarion was eventually defeated in battle with Zatanna, and he chastised her and plotted methods to punish her. Klarion was subsequently imprisoned in the tower for 16 days until he managed to get away before a Light meeting via conference call, during which Gretchen Good updated them on the rescue of Dick Grayson, Jefferson Pierce, and Motherbox from her home. Klarion observed Todd Donner's report on the Justice League shutting down a metahuman slavery network in deep space and freeing 316 abductees with the members of the Light, excluding the exiled Gretchen Good. He had implicitly consented to approve Garfield Logan's killing at the hands of their spy, Tara Markov, in order to publicly humiliate the outsiders and ultimately compel worldwide identification and supervision of heroes as well as metahumans. Following Byron Markov's coronation, Klarion as well as the Light reviewed their successes, now that they ruled Markovia using the Puppet King named Byron. Klarion, also called Child, another Lord of Chaos, but she easily outmatched him with her sheer power. He was unable to defeat her, even when Etrigan attempted to assist him. Their battle led to Tikal's death, even though Klarion tried his best to save her. Later, Klarion flew through space and time on a bus. When the bus eventually came to a halt, Klarion located the superheroes he was hunting for at the exact moment he needed them. Klarion established his presence and, while not delighted, decided with Zatanna that both he and Dr. Fate had to collaborate. They walked into the Tower of Fate's remains and summoned Child. While Klarion as well as Fate fought her openly, Zatanna and her pupils worked behind the scenes. Child quickly detected the ruse and handily outwitted her opponents. They finally managed to defeat Child and banish her from the plane of the physical. Zatanna assumed Klarion would repay her for getting him home to the physical world. Klarion cloned himself to battle the team, employing replicas of their own talents and skills, as he did not want to keep his word to Zatanna. Zatanna urged the Lord of Chaos to pursue Klarion to repay his debts, but Klarion just spared their lives instead of assisting them. Why is Klarion a significant villain? Klarion is smart, crafty, and psychotic, and is definitely not someone to be messed with. Klarion, who appears to be a little adolescent, is actually centuries old. Yet, he is no stronger physically than a regular human kid of the same size and build. Klarion has no true hand-to-hand fighting skills, believing that direct combat is below his status and intelligence. Klarion's magic is frequently represented as being on par with that of Zatanna and Constantine. Klarion is clever and bright, yet he is also immaturely impatient and headstrong. Klarion throws juvenile temper tantrums when his ideas don't go as planned. Klarion despises being outwitted by someone he considers to be inherently inferior to him. Klarion has a telepathic relationship with his cat that allows him to interact with and see from Tikal's eyes. He is also an expert in magic, having utilized it his entire life. Through his own strength, he may move among Limbo Town, the known world, Castle Revolving, and beyond. He can also employ magical devices to project various types of energy with ease. Yet he has never been seen creating energy with his hands. Klarion has the ability to move tangible objects magically, absorb and harness energy, and summon and control the dead. Klarion can divine numerous occurrences and circumstances by using the magic he learned as a child. Klarion can combat magical adversaries by recklessly hurling eldritch bolts, and he can even take away free agency and manipulate individuals. Klarion recently demonstrated the ability to shift through boundaries while searching for Tikal. It's unclear if this was the result of his energy ingestion or a mix of the two. But Klarion has miniaturized Batgirl and imprisoned her in a magic ball. He may also fuse his essence to that of his own familiar to form a Horrigal. Only a few witch women can break this curse. Klarion can conjure illusions over himself to imitate others, and he is also skilled at transmutation. He can also utilize magic to strengthen items and is exceptionally proficient in the usage of magic, knowing various sophisticated spells. He is quite talented at deceiving and fooling others as well. Conclusion. Klarion the Witch Boy made a comeback in Young Justice, as he became more psychotic with time. Through their recurring acts of magical havoc, Klarion, as well as his beloved familiar Tikal, have demonstrated themselves to be the finest antagonist on the program. He is much more than just a witch. He is also a Lord of Chaos. His popularity has increased as the character's crazy childlike conduct makes him an ideal twisted villain, with more success than in the comics. It makes sense for him to appear on the big screen and give so many superheroes a run for their money. After all, what could be more entertaining than watching a maniacal, unbeatable little boy? And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us, if you haven't already. Have a good one, and be safe, everyone. Thanks.
Yeah, more. Yeah.